The holidays can be overwhelming with long lists of to-dos. Thankfully, Fruit of the Loom has made holiday shopping easy as can be. Shop everything from underwear and socks to comfy casual wear and pajamas for men, women, and kids. With Fruit of the Loom, the whole family can enjoy comfort and style from head to toe. When you check Fruit of the Loom off your list, your holiday shopping is complete. Go to fruit.com. Save 15% off underwear by entering coupon code STORIES at checkout. That's fruit.com. Coupon code STORIES. Offer ends December 20th. Whatever struggles you're facing, from depression and anxiety to trauma to grief, BetterHelp can connect you with a professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. It's so convenient. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, as well as chat and text with your therapist, and anything you share is completely confidential. As everybody knows, I have been very public about my own issues, specifically with depression. Anything that gets you in the game of trying to help yourself improve your own mental health, I think, is a thumbs up. And this is a truly affordable option, by the way. Beautiful stories from anonymous people. Listeners can get 10% off your first month with the discount code STORIES. So why not get started? Simply go to betterhelp.com/stories, fill out a questionnaire to get matched with a counselor you'll love today. Hello, Toronto. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call, no names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hey everybody, it's Chris Gethard, welcoming you to Beautiful Anonymous. Very happy to be here. Lucky to have this gig. Thank you for supporting the show. A lot of things to tell you about. Let's see, last week's episode, Basement Infidelity. People reacted very strongly to that one. In the Facebook community, I will say, I was shocked, somewhat dismayed to see how many people left comments saying, I have also been there, I've been cheated on, I don't know all the facts, it does mess with your head. But I'll also say I was very inspired because all those comments came from a place of real compassion for the caller and saying, hey, there's other people out here dealing with stuff. You're not the only one. You're not alone. And that Facebook community, I have to say, as I become increasingly disenchanted with the internet, that Facebook community dedicated to Beautiful Anonymous, really positive place. I hope you join up. We've, of course, been doing the beautiful follow-up series on Stitcher Premium. You can get a free month if you want to listen to a bunch of them. StitcherPremium.com/stories, promo code STORIES. You go get a free month of Stitcher Premium. Got these follow-up calls. This week's follow-up call, it's coming out Friday. It's with an all-time legend of the show, Aussie best friend. You guys remember from the Baltimore live taping. His dad was a drug kingpin, but then also me and him just realized we would be pals. Caught up with the Aussie best friend, explored this friendship, also did it in a way that is brand new. Structured this call in a way we've never done before on Beautiful Anonymous. So you're going to want to check that out. Now, this week's episode was from our live taping in Toronto. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It is from someone who transformed physically in a very short period of time and tells us about the positives and negatives of that. I will say the live crowd was using Twitter to let me know, even in the room, some people who have dealt with body image issues were feeling very put on the spot. Thank you guys for bearing with that and being a part of the conversation and letting me know. And it also lets me know that I should let listeners out there know me. This might... if you're someone who's dealt with some body image stuff, this one might really bring some stuff up. So, brace yourself for that. But most of all, I want to thank the caller and the live crowd in Toronto. It was a very, very fascinating call, and I hope you enjoy it as well.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Toronto.
Look at that. So you know the deal. You know that there's people listening and they might contribute questions via Twitter.
Oh, yeah, I definitely do. All
right. Now, can I ask, where are you from?
I'm from Toronto's favorite other Canadian city, Montreal.
Okay.
We have a love-hate relationship.
I sensed that from the reaction of this crowd. It is fun for me doing these internationally because I get to pick up on things. Like some people started cheering and then some people went, ugh.
So, how long have you been in Toronto?
I got here late last night and did a show at midnight, and then woke up today and we did an in-person Beautiful Anonymous taping at noon. Then I did press, and now I'm here. It's been a busy day. Hit the ground running.
Yeah. And how are you?
How am I? Let's see. How am I doing? I'm not going to lie. I'm a little tired. Ran into a comedian friend of mine who I haven't seen in a few years, who's a very good friend. We wound up going to an A&W that was open 24 hours, and we were catching up, and the next thing I know, I looked down. It's 3:15 in the morning, and I said, I haven't been up at 3 a.m. in years. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm doing. But I'm excited. Excited to be here, and I love doing shows in this town. Now, how are you?
You caught me at not a great time in my life, to be honest.
Okay.
It's okay. It could be worse. But I'm struggling a little.
Well, what's going on?
This might be a downer call, unfortunately. And a good one, I guess. It's good in everything, right?
That's okay. I mean, every once in a while you go to a comedy festival and you just have a real downer of an experience. It's totally fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just...
No, I'm okay. I have an interesting story. Couple of years ago, I'm about your age.
Okay.
And I'm a mother of 3 very young kids. Well, not that young, but the youngest just turned 4. The oldest just turned 7. So I had 3 in 3 years.
Wow.
And I'm about your age. And most of my life, I was super morbidly obese. I'm short, and I was like 300 pounds at 5'2". So I had a specific life experience. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know what got into me or what flash of inspiration I had. Obviously, I knew this whole time I needed to lose weight, but I started losing weight, and I lost about 150 pounds in less than a year.
In less than a year?
On purpose. You know, I didn't accidentally lose it. I worked really hard to lose it. And so I went from really, really big and living a life that way to super athletic and fit and running marathons.
Marathons? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the crowd is applauding your newfound dedication to health. So that's literally half of your body is gone.
Oh yeah, literally. And it happened so fast, which I don't recommend because there were tons of health problems that came along with it. But I didn't have surgery or anything. I really did it through diet and exercise. But it's to the point where I would see someone, and then I would see someone I hadn't seen in 2 months, and they literally did not recognize who I was. They did not know it was me. I looked drastically different just from the weight change. So and because it was so fast, it was so interesting for me to see how the world treated me in both instances.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. And I have lots to say about it.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about that. I'm sure our crowd does too. Before we get into that, though, I do want to follow up just on one thing, just for my own peace of mind and maybe anyone listening. That is an extreme amount of weight loss. You did say there were health problems that came along with it. Was it?
Yeah.
Did you lose it by healthy methods? Because that is so extreme. I just want to make sure.
Yes, I absolutely did it. I went from not moving and eating garbage to first it was just watching what I ate very carefully. But no, I didn't do it I was not at all bulimic or anorexic or anything. My heart goes out to people who struggle with that. I started with just dropping some weight. I was lucky it fast with me, and I was motivated, so it didn't bother me to cut my calories as much as I did, but I still had way more than enough calories to be healthy. The health problems I got was simply hormonal, because it affects your hormones.
Okay.
And so, my body just wasn't used to being so small. So it just took some time to adjust. That's all the health problems were. I don't have them anymore. And hair loss. I lost hair.
Did you say you lost hair?
But no, it was a healthy way. It was in a healthy way.
You lost hair?
And then I started exercising 6 months in, maybe, and then I loved it. And so that combined with exercise finished it off.
Wow. Wow. And are you dealing, I know that sometimes people who have like a very quick, large amount of weight loss have, there's like extra skin, and there's still other things to deal with even within.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Actually, that's why I'm struggling. Like, I learned that, you know, like I managed, when I was bigger, I blamed all my problems on that fact. And I know that, like, it's true. Like, everyone is so terribly mean to large people, and life is hard when you're very large, and so many people are these days. And like, the judgment and everything, it's just, I can't even, it's so bad the way people treat people who are obese. It's terrible, even in Canada, which is, you know, known to be a nice place. And then all of a sudden I'm like this skinny mini person who, okay, they don't see the skin when I'm wearing clothes, but like people treat me differently. People treat me differently in all aspects, because they think I have discipline. I have willpower. I care about myself. I care about my kids more. Like, people would judge me as a mother because I was a big person, you know, and now all of a sudden they don't. And I'm exactly the same person. In fact, I'm going through a lot less struggles now because I can fit in the chair and I don't worry about whether I'll fit it anywhere in public or anything. So it's quite remarkable, the difference.
Now, I hear a lot of emotion in your voice as you talk about the treatment of larger people. I think it's totally justified. I have to wonder, is there more emotion now that you see the other side? Is being healthier and knowing the other side, I would imagine in so many ways that is a relief health-wise and whatnot, but does it almost make you angrier to see the difference in how you're treated now?
I wasn't angry before. I thought I would always be that way. Right. I thought I will never, ever lose weight. I just didn't feel like I would ever have control over my size. I just thought, oh, this is the way it is. My life will be shortened. This is who I am. And so I just dealt with how people were with me because I thought this is the way things are. Yeah. And I never really experienced the other side. And now, like, I'm at the grocery store. People aren't glancing in my carriage or in my cart and, you know, seeing cookies and looking at me with disgust, like, oh, that girl shouldn't be eating cookies. Or people are looking me in the face, smiling at me when they wouldn't have before. Like, even though I'm taking up less space physically, they're giving me the time of day in a way they never would before.
Wow. So you see it. You see it. Now you see it. Now that you're experiencing the life of a smaller person, you've realized that there's been 30-something years where shit was not as fair as it should have been.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now I feel like, you know, when I'm walking, and it's funny because if I'm somewhere in public, people have no idea that I used to be the size I was. And when I meet new people and I show them old pictures, they're absolutely shocked. And it's like, and then when I'm hanging around with someone who is big, it's almost like they have shame next to me because that's just, it infiltrates their personality. They won't look me in the face because they think I'm automatically judging them because everyone of normal size in their head does. Right. So I almost, it's sad. It makes me feel sad because I was that person. And I don't judge them because I still am that person. I just look different. Right. So it's really, really interesting to go through this. Yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine to have an actual physical transformation and all of a sudden experience life in a different way is a strange thing that not all of us will deal with in life. It is
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Here's a question, because it does sound like it has brought up so many emotions, and it has made you examine the world, and it has made you think hard about people and the way they treat each other. Is there any part of you that regrets going through the transformation?
Well, here's the thing, and here's where I'm struggling. I would say I kept the weight off for about 2 years, and studies have shown, and this isn't an excuse, but those who have lost a lot of weight, their body is always trying to get back to that weight, and so it's harder for them to maintain a normal weight than it is for someone who was of normal weight their whole life. And most people gain it back. And I am struggling big time because in the past year, I'm slowly gaining it back.
Uh-huh.
So, but like, I'm still a healthy weight. Like it's my personality. I'm a type A personality. And, which is why like I got all into fitness, and I became a very successful running and winning races. Sometimes.
What? Wait,
Local
talk to me
races,
about
not
that.
super huge ones.
Talk to me about that. So because that was badass. You were like successful runner, and I in my head thought like you're wearing a Fitbit and counting 10,000 steps every day. And then you go, no, I was winning. What do you mean you were entering competitive races and taking first place?
Well, not competitive, but I one day I was into like exercise, and I'm like, I think, and it was the Fitbit. I got a Fitbit, and I'm like, oh, what's the best way to get steps in? I know, let's actually try running instead of like running around my living room coffee table. So I tried one day, and then I just did a 5K, and then I came home and like, wow, I could run a 5K, and it wasn't like crazy fast, but it was like, I finished one, and it was not that slow either. So then I'm like, I think I like running.
Uh-huh.
And so I started, and turns out some other friends I know that have run races before are like, actually, I think they're pretty fast. People don't usually run this fast. And turns out, okay, like not like the big ones, but like sort of local races, out of like, let's say 200 to 500 runners, I've often won. Like for those who run, I could run a 10K in 40 minutes about for a woman, which is pretty fast.
I have no idea. Some people are clapping. I have no idea either of good race times or the metric system. So I'm completely. There's all
not elite competitive, but it's actually pretty fast. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm going to try running a half marathon. That was my first race, was a half marathon.
Now,
and
10K, 10K to me either could be like from here to
6 miles.
6 miles. Okay, because I was going to say that to me could be from here to the other side of the theater. It could be from here to Buffalo. What's 10K? No, I know it's not that wide a range.
Yeah.
So then you're entering half marathons.
Yeah, and I was like doing a half marathon like a good in an hour and a half.
A half marathon.
Which is,
There are whispers of clear-cut appreciation here amongst the crowd. Someone is raising the roof in the middle of the theater in appreciation of your half marathon time. Wow, that's
yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
You know what? Like I would be standing in the line about to go, and I like a year ago, these people would not know I was 300 pounds. Like I'm like in the first corral. Like I've like these super fit guys all around me, like crazy fit. And like, here I am with my hangy skin everywhere, because that actually hinders your run. It's like, it makes a difference. So I like can only wear certain clothes and all that.
Like
and I'm
aerodynamically?
Like, I feel like an imposter,
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
Feel like an imposter. We have some questions coming in from our crowd. I'm going to go to those if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
One question that's come up a few times that I'm very interested in: what do your kids think of your rapid weight loss? How's it affected your relationship with them?
That's a good question. They, it happened. I started losing weight when my youngest was about 6 months old, and my oldest was just over 3, and they did not even really notice, which is just it melts my heart, because it doesn't matter to them what I look like. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm still the same person. It's just sometimes I'd be, instead of like sitting around because I couldn't move, I'm like, okay, let's go for a run. And while one is like somewhere else, I'd take the double stroller and push 2 kids, and that's how I spent my time with them sometimes. Or I'd be more active. I became a lot more involved, but they were so young when the transformation happened. At this point, they're just like, oh, I think that must have been when Mommy had the last kid in her tummy. That's why she looked different. They just suddenly became proud because I was winning races. So they were telling all their friends, my mommy wins races. So really they were just proud about that, or like, oh, she's strong. She can lift up a whole car, even though I can't. They would tell them that, like, that's it. Like they just noticed, like.
Did you lift up a car in front of your children? Or were they just assuming
No.
based on your other acquirements? That's really awesome that kids are just kids. I think that's pretty great. A lot of people are pointing out in various forms that this is a touchy subject, that there is that being larger doesn't necessarily denote health problems, that for some people this might be triggering to think about. And I just want to say that I hear you on all that. And I will say, caller too, it sounds like you did this for your own health and your own thing. And it does. In the comments that are coming in, there are a lot of people saying things along those lines. A lot of people wondering how you feel about the body positivity movement, which, pardon my ignorance, does this refer to the idea of accepting yourself for who you are, the idea that there's a movement towards more plus-size models, towards just accepting things at a less sort of pressured state of being than sometimes, especially I think women, more than men, get pushed into. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm totally for it. Totally. Like I said, I am still that obese woman.
Yeah.
I still have all of the things inside me that caused me to be that way. I still, like an alcoholic, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't want to seem insensitive, but like I consider myself addicted to food.
Right.
So I still want to eat exactly the same way I always did, which is why I struggle with gaining weight back and what that involves and everything. And I'm like, if only life were more accepting of every type of person and not so judgmental as to, see, the thing with being obese, for some people, I'm speaking on my own behalf, but it might be some issues with depression or anxiety or something, and that is their way to cope.
Yeah.
But it's something that everyone else can see. You can't do that in private. They know how big you are.
Right.
So it's just walking around in the shame that I slipped up again. For me, that's how it feels. And I feel like, body positivity only helps in those problems. Nobody's perfect. You can see that maybe this person might be bigger than their healthy self should be, but it's not, they still are worthy of love. They still are worthy of eating food without our judgment and everything else that any other person is.
It's fun.
We all have our struggles.
I think you're getting some people riled up in a good way out here. I gotta pause just to say that moments like that are what make me really enjoy the live show experience. Getting out there with a crowd of people who really express when they hear something that they agree with, that they find positive. What a beautiful thing to help facilitate, to be in the room for. Hey, I've broken up the momentum of the show. That means it's a perfect time for us to go ahead and get our sponsors going. Use the promo codes attached to these ads. When you do, it really helps the show. After this, we'll be back with more phone call. You spend a third of your life in sheets. Maybe it's time for a bedding upgrade. Founded in early 2014, Brooklinen is the fastest growing bedding brand in the world, with over 30,000 five-star reviews and 500,000 happy sleepers and counting. Their mission is to make 5-star hotel quality sheets that are affordable and easy to order. And since they believe that sheets should look great, in addition to feeling great, they offer over 20 colors and patterns that you can mix and match. I have Brooklinen sheets. They are great sheets. They are the sheets that I put on the bed when I really need to sleep well. And also, guess what? If we got company coming over, we throw those ones on there too because they look the best. If people might be peeping out what's going on, throw them Brooklinens on, all right? Let's do it right. My Brooklinen sheets are the best, most comfortable sheets I've ever slept on. Now it's time for your upgrade. Brooklinen.com is giving an exclusive offer just for my listeners. You get $20 off and free shipping when you use the promo code BEAUTIFUL at brooklinen.com. Brooklinen is so confident in their product that all their sheets, comforters, and towels come with a lifetime warranty. The only way to get $20 off and free shipping, use the promo code BEAUTIFUL at brooklinen.com. That's BROOKLINEN.com. Promo code's BEAUTIFUL. Brooklinen. These really are the best sheets ever. The holidays are the busiest time of the year. We all know that, especially at the post office, right? That's why we use Stamps.com. Save time during the hectic holiday season. Stamps.com brings all the services of the United States Post Office right to your desktop. You can buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package, any class of mail using your own computer and printer, and the mail carrier just picks it up. Print postage any day, anytime. Stamps.com not only saves you time, it saves you money. Stamps.com helps you print the right amount of postage every time. You'll never overpay again. For all the time and money you'll save, Stamps.com is the best gift you can give yourself this holiday season. I use Stamps.com because of that, because it saves the time, because it saves you money. It makes it easier. I'm telling you, the post office, I'm a nerd. And I think it's done so much. The infrastructure of the post office, what a miracle. There's a post office at the end of my block. Stamps.com just helps expedite the whole process. It's a cool thing. Right now, you too can enjoy the Stamps.com service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale without long-term commitments. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in BEAUTIFUL. That's Stamps.com. Enter BEAUTIFUL. Thanks again to all of our advertisers. Now let's get back to the phone call.
They still are worthy of love. They still are worthy of eating food without our judgment and everything else that any other person is.
It's fun.
We all have our struggles.
I think you're getting some people riled up in a good way out here. It's funny, too, because you just said something that, and I want you to know, just because it's so fascinating that it came up. This tweet came in just as you were saying, comparing yourself to an alcoholic. Someone in the crowd says, I used to weigh 356 pounds. I'm now 130 pounds. I kept it off 10 years. Every day I struggle. It's like I think of food like a drug addict. So you're not the only one making that comparison.
Well, I can only imagine that a lot of us feel that way. There's like, it's because, at least with the difficulties I've had, it is not easy. It's not the easy way. It's not easy to be so big that you can't do anything. You're always hot and sweating. You can't buy clothes almost anywhere.
Someone did ask how much
something because it's cute.
Someone did ask how much you had to spend to have a complete new wardrobe.
Yeah, I like every 3 months I had to change, and it was so expensive I can't even tell you. It was really bad. And plus I was getting into running, so I wanted all the newest running gear and clothes and all that.
Yeah.
And like, oops, no, it's too big for me now. Oh, it's too big for me now. Yeah.
Wow. It's almost like I hope this isn't, I don't think this is insulting. It's like the turning over your clothes every 3 months is usually only reserved for like newborn children, right? Like that's the only time you turn over your entire wardrobe every 3 months. It's like an actual rebirth was happening.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people... Oh, go for it.
Oh, no, because I can get into a big, long thing. So go ahead.
A lot of people are asking versions of the same question. I'll just put out some of the ones that are on the same range. A few different people have asked if you noticed any increase in sexual harassment once you had lost the weight. Somebody's asking, how did it change your love life? I think this is something that...
Oh, interesting. Okay, I have a good answer for the second one. Don't worry, it's not too risque. It's actually not risque. But the first one, no, the only thing I've noticed is definitely more attention from men. They didn't even notice me before, but now the thing is, like, this is depressing for anyone who wants to lose weight, but like, I was like, my motivation, I'm going to look so good. I'm going to be so sexy. And that didn't happen. I looked like a super athletic person in a deflated fat suit, basically, and lots of wrinkles and hair loss. So it's like, no, I've actually felt a lot sexier, bigger. Wow. I'll tell you that, like in myself. Also, I have a partner. Funny, I noticed that in other places, other countries, specifically the States, I might be wrong, you could correct me, there's a lot more people that get married, but at least here in Quebec, so many people are just common law. People just don't get married anymore. And I'm not technically married, but I have a partner of many years. We have a mortgage. We have a house. We might as well be married, but a lot of people just don't do it anymore.
Is that a stereotype people have about Americans? Is that a thing that we get married more often than other cultures?
I just assumed. I don't know.
I had no idea.
It's typical. Get married, have kids in that order. And we were like, he proposed to me. I'm like, all right, but I'm getting up there and let's have kids and then we'll talk about getting married. And then kids happen. And then we're like, I really don't feel like spending our money on something so frivolous when like our kids will have to go to college and like get braces and everything. So I'm like,
so you opted not to get married just out of the practicality in a financial sense.
Yeah, and I might eventually, a little thing, but it feels so silly now. There are so many more important things.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many stereotypes about Americans. I did not think that was what you were going to go with.
Well, no, I wouldn't.
I figured you'd have been like,
I just assumed from, but all we see is in the media. I don't actually
is that what the media is reporting? These goddamn married Americans, man. All these goddamn matrimony-driven. I mean, why are Americans so driven by matrimony? I thought the news about us coming out the past couple of years was far harsher than that. Oof. I did not think it was all about our marriage habits. I thought people were talking about our rampant obsession with military conflict and progressively more fascist and conservative values. I thought that's what they were talking about. But I guess the marriage thing is something we got to start thinking about in a big way. It's funny.
So
go
my
for
love life, though.
Yes, your love life.
He and I met when I wasn't quite as big. I had gained weight since I was with him, but as a plump woman, he prefers his women larger, not like unhealthy, but he likes a bit of meat on his ladies. Okay. And all of a sudden, I was no longer his preferred look. Everyone has a type, I guess, and that's fine. We're not jealous people. Like, I'm not actually a very romantic person. So I'm like, we love each other. It's gone way beyond what we look like. Yeah. So it's not a concern, but it's something we had to, and plus the skin and everything made me feel very self-conscious about my body. Yeah. At least as self-conscious as when I was big, at least. So we had to work through that. Wow.
So you make this body change in a quest to be sexier, you just said, and then the guy
I was just hoping that would be part of it. It was not the reason.
That was not the reason. Health was more the primary motivator, it sounds like?
Yes.
Right. And along the way,
I wasn't unhealthy.
Yeah.
At that point, I actually was a very healthy, obese person. I didn't have any issues or anything, but it was just preventing me from living the life I wanted to live.
Right.
Let's just say that.
And especially with 3 young kids, I'd imagine.
Right.
You just in the ability, I would imagine, like, I have friends who have kids and they spend their whole day lifting things and reaching for things and chasing the kids around. And I would imagine there's just some level of, you have to live a life at a certain pace when you have 3 kids, and it sounds like you went for it. I was going to say, though, what a fascinating thing that along the way, you're like, side benefit, this is going to make me sexier in maybe the more mainstream archetypal sense. But then the guy who you're with, it goes in the opposite direction. It's funny. It's not funny in like a laugh out loud sense. I more mean fascinating in the sense of you don't think about it. It's fun. Everybody, I feel like we all have these things where we're like, if I could just change this, it would solve all my problems. And then it happens,
Exactly.
and it solves none of your problems. And you're like, man,
Right.
man. For me, it's career.
I've heard you say that with your career. Like, if I just succeed as a comedian, and then what did you say? Didn't you say, like, some of your best times, you wish you appreciated the times when you were just like a...
Oh, you have no idea.
Out.
You have no idea. Now that my TV show is canceled, fans of the podcast heard for months my degrading relationship with my own television show. You guys could read between like, you would hear me do intros where I'd be so clearly like, so check out my show. And you'd be like, this boy is tired. This guy just sounds so tired. And it was like for years, I was like, if I'll just prove them all wrong, man. Nobody thinks I got what it takes. If I can just make it, then it'll do it. And here's what happened. I just got yelled at all the time, stressed out, tired. My real life was happening behind the scenes. And not to get weird in front of a live crowd, and I don't need to get specific, but like there were aspects of my real life the past 3 years that are by far some of the hardest things I've dealt with. But nobody wants to fucking hear that from a guy with a TV show, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I feel like I always thought I'd get to something like this, and it would be like, I proved them all wrong, and now I can sail off into the sunset. And it's like, there's some elements in which it really felt beautiful, and there were some elements where I'm like, oh, I locked myself in a weird cage, and it didn't erase any of the insecurities that got me here. I'm just an insecure person. No accomplishment will change that. I just have to learn how to coexist with the fact that I'm terrifically insecure. And chasing a brass ring isn't going to erase my insecurities. It's going to mean, at best, I have my hand on some arbitrary brass ring. It's not even a gold or silver ring. It's a brass ring. Why did we call it that? Why did we go with that?
I don't know. And you know that word, I should have used it myself, insecure, exactly. I feel my insecurities are all there and then some. Because I'm surrounding myself with people who have always been this way, comparing myself to their bodies, like, or fitness or whatever. And it's like I'm still going to feel like I'm never going to be good enough.
Yeah, I hear you.
No matter what.
I got the same thing with career and looks, where I'm like, I'm never going to, now my show is canceled. I'm back to being this guy that everybody pities me. Nobody pities me. Who's cares? It's funny because mine was never driven by size. I've never watched an episode of my own TV show because it makes me feel so sad how I look. And all I see is forehead. I watch my own self on TV and all I see is forehead. But you want to hear something nice? And it sounds like you have a partner who's similar. You want to hear something nice? I'll sometimes go on stage and I'll make self-deprecating jokes about how I look, and the crowd will laugh. And my wife, about a month ago, said to me, we're driving home one night. She saw me in a show, and I made a self-deprecating joke about my appearance. And she said, I don't get why people laugh at those jokes. You're very handsome.
Oh,
and I was like,
yay.
I got to get out of my own way. We all got to get out of our own way, huh?
Yeah. I'm like...
Now I'm crying in front of Toronto. Hold on, I'm fucking crying. Why did I do that?
Oh, no.
I can't ever talk about my wife in public or I start crying. She doesn't... She's not really... never mind. I was about to hide the fact that I'm crying by making a joke about my own masculinity in response to how my wife doesn't love that I make those jokes. That tells you everything you need to know about my fucked up brain. I bet there's a lot of people who have their own versions of that. And some people have the exact same. Oh, someone says, caller, you're awesome. What's one thing you love about yourself?
You see, I'm hesitating. Isn't that terrible? You know what? I love that. Oh my God, I can't even say. I love lots of things about myself. I'm proud of myself. I like that I'm loyal to my family, and I love, I would do anything for my family and then my kids. Well, I mean, I created 3 perfect children like everyone else did. Of course, my kids are, and I'm proud of the mother that I am. And for those who are mothers in the audience, okay, this is controversial, and let it be what it is. But I'm a breastfeeder, and I my daughter, let's just say she's almost 4, my youngest, I still breastfeed her. I know people have opinions about that. Just want to get it out there. So anyways, I'm very
people are
close to
actually yelling stuff. What was that?
I said, she's okay, don't worry.
Someone from the very back of the room yelled, "She's okay, don't worry."
Oh, no, I know she's okay. Like, even my own family has something to say about it. But, like, my first one, I tried it. It didn't work out. My second one, I did. And then I had my kids so close. Then I got pregnant, and I was still breastfeeding. And then I tandem nursed my 2 youngest, which means at the same time.
No, wait, hold on. You don't mean like at the same time? Like,
Sometimes, literally. I mean, there are 2. So
that's a thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
I guess you all sit down for dinner together, huh?
Twins. Some people do it with twins.
Oh, yeah, with twins? That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and
I'm an idiot.
I'm lucky.
Sometimes I'm just an idiot.
To do that.
Every once in a while, I'm just a teenage boy again. We're like,
a huge weight loss.
What's that?
Which is unlikely, too. Some people are unable to breastfeed during a weight loss, and I was able to the whole time.
Oh, wow.
I'm very lucky about that.
Yeah. We have someone who explained the brass ring comes from old carousels where you can grab a metal ring each revolution, and a brass ring wins you a free ride. I'm glad we've all gotten to the bottom of the brass ring mystery. Thank you for that. We've all learned that together today. Someone else mentioned, I said before, I don't know if 10K is here to would be a run from here to Buffalo, and someone did tweet, no one wants to run to Buffalo. So Toronto throwing shade at Buffalo. Oh, the condescending clap of the Toronto audience as Buffalo gets brought up. You know, everybody in Buffalo right now is like, Toronto, stop trying to steal our football team. That's what everybody's thinking. There's another person that says, this call is brutal for me. I'm having a really hard time hearing something that brings up all the ignorant, negative shit I deal with as a fat woman, but you're doing a great job being respectful and kind. But it's funny because I get it, and I understand, but I feel like one of the things that I keep hearing from you, and maybe I'm reading between the lines, but one of the things I keep hearing from you is you going, comes with its own set of problems. It doesn't change anything internal, and it doesn't even necessarily make it easier across the board in the world in the way you think it does. And if there's one thing I've come to know from just living life, and specifically with this show, it's that I think we could all agree that if we just stopped judging each other so much, our instinct is to judge, right? Because we're tribal as humans, but if we could let it go, we could all just relax a little bit, man. I think that would
I totally agree. Totally. Yeah.
Oh, since you brought up being a good mom, someone wants to shout out her mom. Sarah Ann says, my mom drove all the way from Philly to see this with me. Moms are the best. How about that?
Go mom! Yay!
Laura wants to know, a respectful question, until what age does she intend to breastfeed?
Well, listen, my daughter just today said, Mom, because I told myself, yeah, I actually can have conversations with the person I breastfeed. I never thought. Anyways, listen, I know the comments will be coming, but whatever, it's my life.
Wait, so do you have those conversations?
Well, yeah, because it's been a while, and I told myself I'll let them self-wean. So basically, let the kid figure out when they're done. And I like to say this youngest child is the most independent kid I've ever had in my life, and she's breastfeeding till this long. So to say that they won't be is crazy. But anyways, she's like, yeah, I think I'm done.
Really? It are there times, I don't want to be too forward, but are there times where, oh God, I shouldn't ask this, but I have to, are there times where there's breastfeeding happening and the kid stops and is like, hey, this one is kind of tapped out. Can we switch to the other side?
Yeah, well, yeah, but I don't play games. I'm okay, I just do it at bedtime now. I would never just do something and do it in public. She eats food and drinks regular milk now. It's not, she doesn't need it at all. So when I don't want to or don't think if I think it's in an inappropriate place or time, I'm like, no, and she's like, I don't know. And then she goes and plays or whatever. But, for her right now, before bed or when she wakes up, it's still important to her. Although today she said she thinks she's finished. So we will see tomorrow. Cross your fingers.
Wow.
I never offer, but
you say you have these conversations where you have to shut it. So are there times where you're at a restaurant and the kid's like, "I'd like to breastfeed," and you're like, "No, this is not the time and place," and she's like, "All right, I guess I'll have the flounder." Like, is it that?
No, she would never. She would
It was
never,
a joke the whole time.
something like that. I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We have a lot of this breastfeeding thing is setting the hashtag on fire.
I know.
And that's what you want in 2018, isn't it? You want to set a hashtag on fire, baby. That's what you really want. Get that sweet trending action. Nope. Who cares about that, really? Social media is a weird, fake world. Anyway, now I'm off on a tangent. I messed up the flow again. That's my bad, guys. Might as well use this as an opportunity to get to our advertisements then. So listen to these, and then we'll be back, and we'll finish off the phone call. Support for today's show comes from Third Love. Using millions of real women's measurements, Third Love designs its bras with breast size and shape in mind for an impeccable fit and incredible feel. Just answer a few simple questions from Third Love's Fit Finder quiz to find your perfect fit. Third Love offers double the number of sizes that most brands offer. Cups A through H, bands up to 48, and with lightweight memory foam cups, straps that won't slip, and tagless labels, you want to wear these soft and breathable bras and underwear every day. Especially the new cotton t-shirt, bras, and underwear. But thanks to the 100% fit guarantee, returns and exchanges are free and easy. My wife uses Third Love, loved the experience, found it very streamlined and easy, had a great time shopping the options, talking with the people, and taking the questionnaires. And I'll tell you, the one thing I always remember she mentioned, she said the detailing on the straps is really, really good. She was impressed. Third Love knows there's a perfect bra for everyone, so right now they're offering my listeners 15% off your first order. Go to thirdlove.com/beautiful right now. You'll find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase. That's third, THIRD, love.com/beautiful for 15% off today. Thanks again to everybody who sponsors Beautiful Anonymous. Now let's finish off the phone call.
This breastfeeding thing is setting the hashtag on fire.
I know.
Someone says, my grandma still makes fun of my grandpa because he was breastfed till he was 4. He's been dead for 15 years. How about this?
Oh, my God.
Someone else says, I didn't see this become...
She's 3.
What's that?
Almost 4, but she's not 4 yet. Almost 4.
Oh, that's okay.
She's still 3.
Someone else says, I didn't see this becoming a logistical dialogue of breastfeeding. How about this? A lot of breastfeeding stuff coming in. Someone's saying, I breastfed triplets. That sounds intense. That's a traffic jam situation right there. Look at that. Chris, I wish you could have seen your face when the caller said tandem breastfeeding. That was so joyful. Someone else says, Buffalo has incredible architecture and cheap beer. How about that? And someone else says something that I think is a really important thing. Stephanie, this is beautiful. If you don't love yourself when you're fat, you're not going to love yourself when you're thin. I think that's a beautiful thought.
Yeah, and that is true. Yeah.
Oh, so Laura asked a question that I'm now immediately obsessed with that I need to know the answer to. Oh, God. It seems... does the breastfeeding help you lose weight?
Well, they say it does. It does a bit because breast milk has calories in it, right? So
really?
The kid is taking some of the calories out of you.
No way.
Gaining weight themselves. But
bodies are weird.
It also makes you much hungrier, though. So you're going to eat more. So usually, no, not really. Maybe a bit.
So it evens out. It
Depends on the person.
I guess that's fair. Wait, what does this mean? Has she tried chocolate milk? What does that mean? Is that how you wean a kid off breastfeeding? You give him chocolate milk? Who knew? That brought everything to a screeching halt. We're now all contemplating the role of chocolate milk.
I probably shouldn't have mentioned it. But anyways, I'm proud of the mother that I am. Also, I'm proud of the accomplishments I've had in my running. Mm-hmm. I did run a full marathon. And that was the most proud, besides like giving birth and everything, but it was the most proud moment of my life, crossing that finish line of a full marathon.
Wow.
Which is 26 miles.
And that's
42 kilometers.
I was going to try to guess the kilometers. That's okay. You beat me to the punch. Now, what do you do outside of this conversation? Like, are you working? I would imagine with 3 kids, are you raising the kids? Like, what's the?
Yeah, I'm raising the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not working right now, but now that my youngest will be in school within a couple of years, I hope to get back in the workforce. But I basically see, lucky Canada, we get long maternity leave. Yay! I don't know what you guys are waiting for, but it's like totally necessary, I think. So
America, they're like, you get 4 days, you married fuck. You got 4 days. That's your maternity leave. That's what you get for your dedication to marriage.
I had maternity leaves back to back, and then I was like, I have so many kids, I can't justify child costs right now, so I'll just stay home till they're all in school, and then I'll get back to it. I don't know doing what. I didn't have a career per se, but
you're going to get back out there. Now, I want to just... Patty has explained the logistics of breastfeeding triplets, I believe. 1 baby on each breast and rock the third in a basket with your foot. Double football holds. That's how you breastfeed triplets, apparently.
Oh, yeah, I know the football hold, but that is crazy, having to juggle a third in the mix.
Wow. Look at that. Look at that. Now, we've got about 18 minutes left, caller, and it's
okay.
It's funny. It's funny. We've really walked the line. What would you say? Because there's a wide variety of reactions from our crowd right now. Some people who are like this is a great discussion in terms of body positivity. Other people who are saying, it feels like the promotion of being thin over being heavy in a way that I do not intend, and I get the sense you do not intend. So where do you land as far as this experience? It seems like it's left you with some positive feelings as far as participating in athletics, in many of these things, a lot of pride there. It also seems like it's created a lot of negative feelings as far as thinking hard about the interactions of the world with people's weight. Where would you say you land overall? Having lost half your body weight in a year, what would you say the overall conclusion is of that experience?
Well, it's like no regret at all, because I can be there for my kids. I will most likely live longer and be with my family longer. And there's never, whenever I consider doing something, whether it be water skiing or applying for a job or anything, I'll never say what I look like and how much I weigh will never be a factor in that decision. And it's such a freeing feeling. It was underlying everything of my life before. But then all of a sudden I'm vulnerable because, like, oh my God, now I'm me for me, I'm not like behind a character anymore. I'm like, ooh, now like people are judging me, and they're not just saying no because they're like, oh, she can't handle it because of her weight or whatever. So it's hard, but I have no regrets. I'm just happy I can do whatever I want.
Right.
Like it's not stopping me from doing what I want. Maybe something else is, but that's not.
I really like that the first thing you brought up was your family. Of just statistically, this means I might have some more time. The kids. Some people are asking if the background noise we just heard was some of your kids.
Oh no! Yes, it's funny because I gave the look of death to their dad because he you just see him. Did anybody see that video of that important newscaster guy who was doing like a thing, like a serious interview or whatever, and then all of a sudden a little toddler comes running in, and then the mother comes screeching
That's
out.
one of the great disaster videos.
Just now.
And the lady runs in and just like tackles the kid and drags the kid back through the door, and they all have panicked looks on their faces, and the guy's just trying to keep a straight face. I would imagine that a lot of parenting is just that on an endless loop. Someone did make a joke. That
happened just now. I gave him the look like, get the child out of here.
That is one of the great, as far as internet, one of my favorite genres of entertainment is news disaster videos. I love them. The news is such a cut and dry thing. It's such a stodgy thing. And when the things go wrong on the news, to me as a comedian, I'm like, I will never be able to write a piece of comedy ever better than that. I would say we're going to go with my top 3 are the one you just mentioned with the kid getting dragged out. I'm going to go ahead and say my number 2 is I like turtles. Are you a fan of I Love Turtles? Do you know this?
No.
You're going to want to look up I Love Turtles. Number 1, by far, though, I've mentioned this in interviews as the thing that makes me laugh hardest in life. Have you seen the drunk Ewoks with Al Roker?
And I only saw it because of you, Chris, because you mentioned it on the podcast once, and I looked it up. It's hilarious.
I am telling you, I have done a whole HBO special about how much I love therapy and antidepressants, medication, and all of it. I would say in tandem with my treatment is when I get truly sad. I watch those Ewoks hump Al Roker's leg, and everything feels just a little bit brighter that day. Because we live in a world where Al Roker can get his leg humped by an Ewok. On life, baby! It makes me feel like the world is alive with endless possibilities.
Yeah.
Because they can't control everything, man.
Right.
They can't control everything. Someone's saying you're a true mom if you give the look of death. I like that. Oh, here's a very interesting question from Roseanne. Very interesting question. I wonder if you thought about it. What type of body image and self-confidence do you want for your kids?
You know, I worry about that because, like, they're always watching, and I have 2 girls and a boy, and I just obviously a very healthy one, and I try whenever they use descriptive words about what they look like, whether it be fat or skinny or whatever, tall, short, small, big, whatever, I try and change it to, like, what can you do? So, like, look at me, like your legs can do this, your arms could do that, your face can smile or whatever. I try to, like, just talk about function and how lucky we are that we can do so much. And that's what I do. Like, that's what I do whenever I feel sorry for myself about not having the body I thought I would. I'm like, like this droopy body ran a marathon and qualified for the Boston Marathon. And like I can, like, and it breastfed babies, and it carried 150 pounds of excess weight and never complained, and still my heart still beat, and it still birthed babies, and like loved my partner, and lived. So, like, I try to just practice appreciation and have my kids do the same.
Yeah. Another interesting question that came in. You had mentioned before that your husband's maybe naturally attracted to a larger woman. Someone tweets, would you gain the weight back if your husband asked you to?
Oh, God, never. I would never do anything for a man. And I wouldn't expect my kids to do anything for their partner either.
I would never do anything for a man gets the most extended applause break. Our beautiful audience, beautiful anonymous audience is 70% female based on our demographic research, and man, did it just show in this room. Especially, we should also mention.
But listen, I just want to say, like, to his credit, he would never in a million years ask me to. Just as he never asked me to lose weight, he was there right beside me. He was taking care of these kids when I was going on long runs. Like, he was my biggest supporter, even though, I might not be his favorite physical type. He loves me even more because of what he watched me do. So it's not, I would not be with someone who asked me to gain the weight back.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. He's there with you no matter what. I think that's great. Yeah. We should also mention, I think part of why that just got an applause break, we are recording this on the same day that there is an intense amount of drama about the Supreme Court nomination in the States. So I think the idea of you saying, I would never do anything for a man, was a real home run of a statement today in particular, I think.
Yeah. Listen, I talked about weight loss, I talked about breastfeeding. I probably shouldn't talk about politics because I'm super opinionated. I won't do it. I'm not doing it.
That's fair. Oh, someone.
But I'm very liberal.
Bethany wants to know if you listen. Do you ever listen to Beautiful Anonymous while you're running?
Every time, of course I do.
Hell yeah.
Actually, Chris, listen. I met you.
You did.
I was at your Montreal live taping, and I went to Burlington, Vermont, and
yeah.
So I saw you there.
I remember. Because when you were in Burlington...
And you signed my book. You said, I didn't talk about my weight loss, but I said I listened to you while I run, and you signed my book saying, sorry for bothering you during your run. Of course you did, right? And guess what? I lost the book. I'm so upset. I had 2 chapters left. Oh.
I don't think there's one person on earth who has a signature in a book for me that's just a simple thank you. I think they're all like, I'm so sorry. Some of these stories are okay. Enjoy them if you can. I'm sorry. I think I'm honorary Canadian in that way. The constant apologies.
We love you so much here in Canada.
I remember. Did you come to Burlington? Was it with your mom?
Partner. He was right beside me. Yeah.
Partner. Yes. Because I remember you were there with someone else, and you said, we drove all the way from Montreal, and I was like, I'm going to be in Montreal in like a week. And you were like, that's okay. I remember.
No. You were in Montreal first.
I was in Montreal
first.
First.
At the live taping.
Well, I clearly don't actually remember any of this.
Burlington, and I saw you there. Oh.
I do remember that, though.
There's the kids again.
Look at that. Well, it's nice to talk to you again. Look at that. Someone wants to know, where did she catch the unicorn? Is that a phrase for qualifying for the Boston Marathon? Who knew?
It was at Ottawa Marathon. But, I got 3 hours, 37 minutes in my marathon. It was my one and only.
Richard has
I didn't go to Boston, though, because actually it was such a bad cutoff time that I was 2 minutes past the cutoff time, which is complicated. But I did qualify for Boston. My qualifying time was 3:40, and I got like 3 minutes less than that, 3:37.
Wow. That's badass. I don't know much about the world of running, but I know qualifying for the Boston Marathon is badass.
It's hard. Some people try their whole life to do it.
I don't think I've done anything equivalent to that.
But Chris, I have to say though, like you're doing great on your what is it, the jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and like you really have also thinned out lately, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been really obsessed with it. I go 3 or 4 times a week. My body is currently covered in bruises. If I undressed on stage, which I will not, because why would I? That would be a very weird way to end this experience. I'm covered in bruises. It looks really bad, but man, is it fun. I'm trying to find a gym. I might try to find a gym and go fight people tomorrow. And it's a great way to deal with having a recently failed TV show, is to go and just fight people 4 times a week. It's a pretty great way to get the stress out. I like it. I like it a lot. I think everyone should find something physical that they like doing. I feel like it feels so good to make your body move, you know? I feel like if I keep talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu enough on this podcast, I will eventually one day wind up wrestling someone who listens to the podcast. Like I'll someday be in some, because when I go on the road and do shows, I like to drop in at different gyms, and there's a chance someone will like choke me to near unconsciousness, and then right afterwards be like, hey, I really like that episode with that guy who pooped his pants all those times. Like, that's a thing that could conceivably happen. That is a thing that could happen. It is nice. I've also had more people be nice to me on the streets of Toronto about this podcast than any other city. And by more people, I mean 2. 2 people approached me on the streets today. And we're like, oh, I like the podcast. That's more people than usual. Look at that. Oh, now people just telling me where to go do jiu-jitsu. Look at that. Oh, my God, that's crazy. Mallory says, I'm the one who met you in Burlington with my mom. Hi, Mallory. I knew there was someone from Canada with their mom there. Look at that. Look at that. Well, what else, caller? We got about 5.5 minutes left. What else do you want to put out there to the world?
I don't know. People can ask me questions. I don't know. That's my big thing, and that's it. Being a mom and my weight loss thing, and yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I'm struggling. I'm just gaining it back, and I'm like, because I felt like I was it was my identity all of a sudden, and I was like, everyone's like, you're so inspiring, you're my inspiration, wow, 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 and I'm like, it just got to be so much. And I was like, okay, so all I think about is like my weight loss. And I'm more than that too.
Yeah.
So I just needed to take a step away. But as a result, I was watching what I ate less. I was exercising less. And so it's slowly creeping up. And then I'm like dealing with now I'm not going to be the inspiration. I'm going to be the failure. So it's like, and maybe you started feeling some of that, right? Not that I think you're a failure,
really true.
But like with your show.
Well, not even with my show. It's funny. It was more with career suicide. It was more with my HBO special because that was the one that was all about depression. And sometimes people come up to me and say, I found it really inspiring, and I think that's very nice. But then sometimes people come up to me and they will go, oh, I've also dealt with that stuff too. And they'll start to get very specific. And I feel so bad. Because sometimes I'm like, I have to retreat from this because I can't just take on everyone's pain. And it's nice when people say you're inspiring, but it's also, how would I phrase it? It's also kind of like, it's like very, very nice and very, very flattering and very, very kind. But it's also a little bit of a strain that gets, it's a responsibility. That's what I'm trying to say. It also becomes a responsibility in a way that is draining, and I'm sure you're feeling that too.
But are you ever afraid that, like, if you slip up and you have an incident or something doesn't go so well with whatever you struggle with, like your mental health? And this doesn't have to get very personal, but are you ever like, do you feel pressure that like you have to be that figure all the time, like the one who succeeded? And are you afraid to have a slip or something in the public eye now?
Speaking of the public eye, I'm in front of a few hundred people in Toronto discussing. I mean, no one's ever asked me that. And I'll tell you, it's a very astute question. Yeah, I am. I'm scared that if I ever have another mental break, that it's going to have a more profound impact on me, and that there's going to be other people who are maybe a little more affected by it than they would be if I hadn't put myself out there. And it is a real concern. It's like a very, very macabre thought, but I have, comedians, before I even say this, let me preface it by saying that comedians, when they are amongst each other, will make the most fucked up jokes about everything. And I don't think it's because we're insensitive people. I think it's because you're constantly testing jokes. And when you're amongst other comedians, there's a little bit of permission to just say it. And I did once say, someone once said like, oh, your special is pretty heavy. And they started talking to me about a similar thing. And I was like, yeah, man, I mean, if I really can't commit suicide now because it might lead other people to do it. And that's such a fucked up thing to say. Like, now there's people who are telling me like, you're the reason I got treatment. And I'm like, well, what happens if I fuck up? What happens then? This got really dark really fast, caller.
I'm so sorry. You know what? It's just everyone who's listening, and there are the people there, and hopefully this will go out and lots of people will hear it. But like, nobody's perfect. Everyone needs like love and acceptance no matter what.
100%. 100%. You got it. I think that is at the end of the day what we all feel. It's funny, every reaction, there's people who are so concerned about how, did you lose this weight in healthy ways? Are you adopting diets, this and that? But I think everybody in the room agrees, like, just let people be happy for who they are. Judge people on you can judge people for choices they make, but not for problems that they have, and not even necessarily problems, circumstances that they were handed. I believe that's very true. Now, let me ask you this. We have a minute left. What did you mean when you said Montreal and Toronto have a love-hate relationship?
I don't know. I love Toronto. I don't go that much. But, like, it's just that first of all, the two hockey teams, they know that, right?
Okay. Oh, I'm walking into a minefield.
I know, And it's just we're like the two biggest cities in Canada.
Can I make a guess? Because I've been to both cities many times, love both cities. Can I get the sense? I feel like if I had to guess from the outsider American's perspective, that both cities feel like the other city thinks they're better than everybody.
Well, yeah, but in the case of Toronto, it's true.
Look at that. We have 30 seconds left, and you managed to take a pot shot right at the end.
I'm just fooling around.
I know. I think everybody in this room already likes you and respects you and isn't going to take it too personally. And I'm sure they're all tweeting Montreal digs at me as we speak. We've got 10 seconds left, caller. I want to thank you so much for calling. Your final words to the world.
I just want to say, Chris, keep doing what you're doing. You are doing great things in this world, and thank you.
That's how I feel about you.
What they have to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, caller. And to our friends here live in Toronto, since we are in Toronto, I want to make sure you guys got the parting words and not some Montrealer giving you a dig. So we will end tonight with the words of Emily, who says, Toronto hides its porn theaters and Montreal shows them off. I think that's a fantastic way to end. You guys, I hope you had a good time. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting the show. Good night.
Caller, I want to thank you for calling. I got to say, you put some stuff out there that I think was really vulnerable. And it would have been vulnerable one-on-one, and it was in front of a live crowd. I applaud you for doing it. It was eye-opening. Thank you so much for sharing it. And thanks to everybody who came out in Toronto. I know that there were a lot of people, even night of, with the hashtag expressing that it was maybe tough to, people in the midst of their own journey, so to speak, in regards to some of the issues brought up. And it was tough for them to be in there. And I thank you guys for sticking with me, weathering the storm, being a part of it, expressing your opinions. Thanks to Jared O'Connell. Came all the way up to Toronto to hang out in that show. Thanks to Harry Nelson, who helps organize all the infrastructure of Beautiful Anonymous. Thanks to Justin Linville, who helps organize the infrastructure of my entire life. Thanks to Shellshag for the music. If you want to know about me, go to chrisgeth.com. And if you like Beautiful Anonymous, one thing you can do to help the show, you go to Apple Podcasts, rate, review, subscribe. Helps a lot when you do. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Next time on Beautiful Anonymous, how do you reconcile being who you are in a culture that doesn't want you to be who you are?
The thing is, I'm gay, so there's a huge conflict there.
Right.
And growing up in the church, you hear so many people preaching about sexual sin being the sin next to murder. So it's pretty serious when you screw up and do something you're not supposed to be doing. And part of that includes being gay.
That's next time on Beautiful Anonymous. Hey everybody, it's Chris. As you've probably heard, got a new series, Beautiful Follow-Ups. We're following up with some of the all-time great callers from the history of this show. Here's me saying hello to a bunch of them.
Thank you for following up with Beautiful Anonymous.
Hey, Geth.
Hello, old friend. Hello?
Hello, this is...
I'm not supposed to know that.
It's good to hear your voice, Chris. I'm glad to be able to do this with you.
Hey, it's Gethard.
Hey, Gethard. Good to hear from you.
Hey, is this the Puppet Master?
This is the Puppet Master. How are you?
Hey, this is Gethard.
Chris Gethard, how are you?
Beautiful Follow-Ups. Come join me on Stitcher Premium. We'll all catch up with some old friends together. And guess what? You get a free month if you go to stitcherpremium.com/stories. Use the code STORIES.
Oh, baby, come back. Oh, baby, come back. It's not the same since you left.
Hey, this is Arnie from the comedy podcast Hello from the Magic Tavern, a chat show I host from the magical land of Foon with my co-hosts
Usador, the Blue Wizard,
and Chunt, the Shapeshifter.
Most weeks we interview adventurers,
wedding planners,
ambulatory trees.
But this week we have a special episode.
I am so excited to learn about the Earth lore contained in Pride and Prejudice.
We're going to do a book club of Pride and Prejudice.
And you said this is a well-loved book on Earth, right?
Yeah, it's one of those books that people love or were forced to read or more more likely it's one of those I'm gonna get to it's.
And some of our most beloved guests are returning to read the book with us and enjoy some drinks and food over book club.
We have Flower, we have Crom the Barbarian.
And Germ.
You know who they are.
Maybe you don't give a crap about what an academic thinks about Jane Austen, but don't you want to know what a wizard and a badger think about it?
Not enough spells.
Not enough grubs.
Not enough sword fights.
Whether you love Pride and Prejudice or have no interest in reading it and just want to listen to a book club go really off the rails, you'll enjoy this week's Hello from the Magic Tavern.
We shall defeat this book!